This is the fashionable citizen network. How did a former Democratic president pave the way for a movement that seems, at first glance, his ideological opposite? The journey from Bill Clinton's pragmatic centrism to the MAGA era's stark partisanship might be less of a leap than one might imagine, especially when considering the evolution of state and federal rights in America. Bill Clinton's presidency in the 1990s was marked by a distinct approach that often straddled the line between traditional Democratic ideals and Republican-leaning policies. This was a time when the concept of a third-way politics emerged, a blend of liberal and conservative ideas aimed at appealing to a broader range of voters. Clinton's approach to governance, particularly his policies on crime and welfare reform, demonstrated a willingness to incorporate traditionally Republican stances, which included a strong emphasis on state rights. Moving into the 2000s, the political landscape began to shift. The Republican Party, influenced by emerging figures within its ranks, started to adopt a more aggressive stance on federalism. This was not merely a continuation of the Reagan-era's ideals, but an intensification. The emphasis on state sovereignty became more pronounced, and the role of the federal government became a central point of contention. As the Tea Party movement gained momentum in 2010, the seeds that Clinton had inadvertently planted began to sprout. The movement, characterized by a staunch insistence on reducing federal oversight and enhancing state rights, echoed Clinton's earlier concessions to Republican principles, albeit in a more extreme form. The Tea Party's rise set the stage for the MAGA era, which took these ideas further, advocating for an even greater decentralization of federal power. Under Donald Trump's presidency, which began in 2017, the call for state rights became louder and more politically charged. The MAGA agenda pushed for significant rollbacks of federal authority in various domains, including environmental regulations and education. This echoed the earlier Republican emphasis on state sovereignty, but was now coupled with a populist twist that was absent during Clinton's time. In conclusion, while Bill Clinton's presidency might seem a world away from the MAGA era in terms of rhetoric and public persona, his policies laid some of the groundwork for the intense focus on state rights that would later dominate Republican ideology. By blending Democratic ideals with Republican preferences for state sovereignty, Clinton indirectly contributed to a political environment where the MAGA movement could flourish, championing state rights with unprecedented fervor. The journey from Clinton to MAGA, though complex and filled with myriad other influences, shows how political seeds planted in one era can bloom in entirely unexpected ways in another.